Alright, so let's talk about subqueries. So in this video, we'll talk about what subqueries are and why we want to use them. So I'm here in home page and I want to display all the users with their last logged in time. So the use case is many. For example, you want to show the last logged in device, and according to that you want to display some ads or whatever proper action you want to do according to their logged in time. So in this case I want to just know which user is currently active. And yeah, so in our users table, we have simple user table. Just ignore these two fields for now. And we have another table called logins. So in logins table, what I'm just logging in is user ID and then what IP address they are logging in from and device name. So created at will be the main field in this case to display last login time. That's it. So the relationship between users and logins is has many. So one user can have many logins, right? So whenever they log in, we are just making new entry on this table, and that's it. So how do we display that? We have to define. So the basic thing that comes in mind is just define relationship. Logins relationship has many relationship with login class. Alright, so that is okay. Now let's go to main.blade. We are displaying name and last logged in at time. So how do we do that? So in a normal way we do it like this. So user, and now we have defined logins, and we want to get the latest one by ordering them by latest, and then we get first only one entry, and then we show created at. That's it. All right. Now let's go to our browser and reload. There we go. So we can display last login date. All right. So in order to do that, we have executed this many queries, 37 queries. So we have now problem of n+1 queries, one query to fetch users and each query to fetch this one, right? So that's not good. So we can reduce queries by going on our controller or whatever we are loading and just do with logins. So by eager loading also we haven't solved that problem, because here we are executing like this. So we can do like this, user logins, and then get them. All right. So here you have to order by created at, but it is not quite good option, because if you see here, so it is initializing this 946 models. All right. So this is memory, all computational. It will be hard on CPU because it is doing this computational stuff or initializing this many models. So 910 login models and then 36 user models. All right. So this normal way is not that performance wise not good. All right. So in order to achieve same functionality with minimum resources, we have subqueries. So subqueries to rescue. So how do we use them? Like this. We have to call this add select method, which will just give us the field name, and then we run the query, and then we will get that particular field which we can use that. So before doing that, I want to show you our users. Item users, 36 users, and if I see the individual thing, we get only the fields from users table. So wouldn't it be cool that if we get another entry here like last logged in at, so that we can simply display that. All right. So in order to do that, we have to use subquery. So now we don't have to do this thing. This will be just hard on memory. So add selects, I'll get rid of everything for now. So add select, and then we define like this array, and the key of array will be, so you can give whatever name you want to give here. So last login time, you can give whatever you want, just like this, last login. I'll give last login, and then value of this key will be the query. So how do we write query? We'll access the login class. By the way, we have login class as well because we have login table, right? So we have this login class. Sorry, let me inside app. Yeah, this login class. Let's go back, and here we need to run query like this. So we need to select whatever we want to fetch from that table, and this I'll just copy it, or I will just type that. Don't be lazy, okay? So we want to fetch only created add because we have this last login time inside created add in login table. And then where column. So we have another this method where column. So this will be just the linking column between this user and this foreign key. Alright, so foreign key is user ID, and here user ID we need to here define like users table. So this foreign key is pointing to ID field on users table. So sorry, ID. So this should be the name of table and then ID. So we are saying add select, just give us the last login time. So this login time should be, the value of this should be got from this login model, and in login model we are just selecting created add column, and that column, so this column should be for this particular user, right? So particular user. So how do we get users? By seeing the user ID field in users. So behind the scene it will just match both the user ID and only get last login field for each user. So it will loop through all user. It will run the query to get all users and then compare them and just integrate or put that last login field inside each row. So we'll see that in a moment. Where column, and then we want last login, right? So we need to order by created add. So order by descending, right? Yeah, you can do order by and then descending, or just order by descending, same thing. Order by created add descending. And another important thing here, order by descending, and then limit 1. So only one entry we want to get. Let me just collapse this sidebar. Yeah. All right. So by running this query where user ID, because this has many relationships, so there will be many logins for particular user, but we have ordered them by descending order, and then first one will be that which we require, right? So that's why limit 1, and then finally we can call get. So to make it readable, you can move get on separate line, and similarly you can put them on separate line like this. Okay, there we go. So now if I dump this, dump users, see what happens. So before there was this no user last login. Now if I expand that attributes, we'll get last login, right? So this will be very useful. Now let's remove dump and pass all users. So before we are getting 46 models and this much memory and 37 queries. Now let's go to main.blade, and we can get rid of all of these, and we can just say last login because we have this field right there. last login. So now if I refresh, see, there is only one query and model. Before it was 900 something, 996, now it is just 36. So we are just getting 36 users, no login, model initialization, and all of the computational stuff. So even we get less memory uses. Yeah, very useful. Alright, so this is how we add subquery. So you can add many subqueries here, like if you want last login device, for example, last login device, you'll have to select the device and user ID will be same and created at same thing. Just this device thing you need to select, because here you can see device. So now save it and let's display last login device, last login underscore device. Now let's go and see. There we go, last login device with same number of queries, same number of model, same memory usage. This is how you do multiple subqueries. Let's remove that device for now, and I will show one more thing. So if it is it feels too much bulky for you, like in terms of lines of code, you can just cut this out from here and we will define with last login. Alright, so with last login, and then we'll do get. So if we can do like this, it will be quite helpful, right? So quite readable. So in order to do that, we will use query scopes. So I've explained query scopes in last video, and you can watch that if you want. And now let's go to user model and define this. Let's go to user and define like this, scope, and then paste whatever we have copied from there. Query like this, return it, and we will have same thing. See, now we have make this quite readable, right? Okay, so same thing. If you want to get device, you'll get you have to define another query scope for device. If you want to do in one, same thing, you have to do like previously, device, and here also device, and with last login and device you can name it whatever you want. So as I've told you in last video, you have to break, you can break that on as many single pieces instead of just bulking up both in one. Yeah, you can define two query scopes and then you can just chain them here to get all of the fields. Alright, so here we can get the last login time. Alright, so that is for if you want to display last login time. Suppose we want to order them by last login. Currently it is no guarantee that it will be ordered by last login. So out of these logins, I want to see on top the one which is logged in latest, which have latest login time. So in order to do that, here in route we can do like this, order by descending. Alright, and then here we can just pass in last login. That's it. There we go. So someone that logged in on 350 is in first, 350 first, and then 342, 341, 333. There we go. So how can we do that? Because we are using this query scope. So by using that select, add select, we have constructed a virtual column on our query. So last login will be available as a virtual column, and then now we can do order by descending. So if we wouldn't have this thing here, this wouldn't be working. Alright, so column not found, unknown column, last login. So by doing this, we have virtual column and it is working perfect. So suppose you don't want to add select, but you just want this ordering functionality, order by descending functionality. So same thing, you need to just put that code inside here. Let me show you how you can do that. Let me comment this out so that you can see that as a reference. So we don't want to add select, but we just want to order them by descending. All right, so I will comment that out, order them by descending, and inside here you need to just put this subquery. To make this faster, I will just copy this out. So now we don't need to do add select, we just put the query that will order them by created at descending there. So login, select this, and then where this column matches, and then order them by descending order. That's it. Now if we refresh, we should see the same order, but we will not see this because we have removed the add select, right? So we should just see. I will open this on new tab so that we can compare it. All right, so it ordered exactly same, so it is working. So we should see this Hitesh web dev on last, because so this Hitesh should be on last. Let's verify that. Yeah, Hitesh is in last. So since these are just created on same time, I have used model factory. So these can be on different order, no matter, because these are created on exact same time. So this should be on last and this second last. Let's verify that. Yeah, it is web dev second last. So it is ordering them by descending order. Whenever you need to add select, just add select like this, use add select. If you just want to order them by, just inside this order them by descending. So if you want to order them by ascending order, just do order by ascending and do ascending order. Alright, so I've told you how to use subqueries, how to use add select, how to make them shorter by moving them onto query scopes. I've also told you how to do order them by subqueries by this, and we are displaying that here with add select. Alright, so one last thing I want to share with you is, suppose you want to display, for example, there are many column on logins table. Right now we are just displaying this created at, right? So if we want to display device as well, IP address and other, if there are many fields, so if we want to display device, as I have already told you how we can do it, by doing like this, device, and here also device, and similarly if there are many fields, you have to make like this. So it will be cumbersome if there are many fields. So there is another way you can do it, quite easy way. So what we can do is, so by the way, this is last login. Alright, so what you can do is, you can define virtual relationship. So what is the virtual relationship? So normal relationship is like this. We have defined logins. So this is looking for user ID field on, sorry, user ID column on login table. So what we can do is, let's define this, and instead of last login, which will just give us last login column, we do like this, last login ID, and we just select ID and we get just ID from there. All right, so after getting ID, we can define this thing. We define this last login relationship, and this belongs to login class. So now this relationship will search for ID called last login, last underscore login underscore ID, which we have virtually created that column. All right, so as I have already told you, we can create this virtual column using add select, and now we can define this relationship, and whenever we call this scope, we are doing with last login. Okay, so with last login, and we are using with last login this scope. All right, so after doing that, we have access to this last login relationship. So let me die and dump this users. So we have this last login relationship with all of the attributes. Right now you cannot see that. So now if let's remove this item. Now if we go to this main.blade, and we can display last login time, we can display device, we can also display IP address, IP, by doing this. So user, and then access this last login, and then created ad. Similarly we can access this device. Let's duplicate them. Device IP underscore address. Alright, so with the help of this virtual relationship we can access all the columns on login class, login table. Let's go and refresh. We should see everything. And now if you notice here, we just get 72 model. So before it was 992 when we just do with without add select, because it is only initializing the login class for 36 user, not all the logins. Yeah, so this is about virtual relationships. Just go through this code and you'll understand. So this last part is I know it will be hard to understand for some if you are quite new to Laravel. So basically we just added this column and defined the relationship. So this video is inspired by this article. If you want to read this article, you can read this on everything is given on detail. So I will link this article as well. Alright, so that's all about subqueries. Hope you learned something out of this video, and I will see you on next video. Bye.